I'm so scared. Look, I'm only 95 years old. You expect me to remember all this stuff? I'm exhausted from this. Can I lie down and have a nap? Impossible relationships. My special gift is impossible relationships. That sounds like Pretty Woman. But I couldn't tell you where it was in the movie.
My special gift is impossible relationships.
That movie was really about Gary Marshall, the director. It was his sensibility, it was his heart, it was his humor, it was his humanness. He just had a light touch, but he also liked to have fun. It was a good time for Julia and me, and we were at the right place at the right time. But I think that story, it still touches people. I'm amazed all over the world. I improvised that. That was just an improvisation. But that scene came from, Gary and I were talking, and we were talking, he said, look, when you're in a hotel, wherever in the world, so what do you do? And I said, well, if I'm in a hotel, I'm traveling. So I'm usually jet lagged. I'm usually up all night. Maybe I'll find a ballroom. There's a piano there, or a bar. And usually it's closed in the middle of the night when I'm jet lagged. So it's just me and a guy sweeping, usually. So that's what we did. These trials, the whole world, it's all show business. Well, of course, at Chicago.
These trials, the whole world, it's all show business.
Well, we all were in like a musical boot camp when we started that movie. So it was months of that. And I wanted to get good with the tap dancing. So I had a wonderful teacher. What she did, she said, look, let me be honest, I can't teach you to be a great tap dancer in a month or two. But let me just see you move. And I'll use what you naturally do. And I just started fooling around. And she said, okay, I can work with that. And we came up with routines that felt like something, like I knew what I was doing. And I mean, we shot very quickly. That whole movie was shot very quickly. But that scene, we probably shot in an hour and a half, 2 hours. Every night I come home from work and I'd look for you, your face. You looked on the outside the way I was feeling on the inside. I have no idea. And I said this.
Every night I'd come home from work and I'd look for you, your face. You looked on the outside the way I was feeling on the inside.
Well, I remember asking her after we did the dance stuff, I said, so what do you think? I'm not a dancer, you're a dancer, so what am I, on 1 to 10? And she said, 6. I said, well, that's not so bad. But she said, you do some things real good. I remember there was a kind of a twirl. I moved her around really fast. She'd say, wow, that's world class. So I was proud of myself. Okay, I guarantee there'll be tough times. I guarantee at some point, one or both of us is going to want to get out of this thing. But I also guarantee that if you don't ask, I don't ask you to be mine, I'll regret it for the rest of my life because I know in my heart that you're the only one for me. It can't be Pretty Woman because we already did it. So it's probably Runaway Bride. Not because I remember this, I just figured it out because I'm smart.
I guarantee that there'll be tough times. I guarantee that at some point, one or both of us is going to want to get out of this thing.
We were in different places at that point. You know, she had been in other relationships, I had been in other relationships. I'd been married already since then. I can't remember how long, it was probably 10 years later. Yeah, so we were in different places in our life, so I mean, we kind of used that. It wasn't kids anymore. They were a little more grown-ups. All right. I would never have believed one weekend could change my whole life. I'm blanking on this one. I'm stumped.
I never would have believed one weekend could change my whole life.
We went to, I think it was Rodanthe. It was actually a town or close to it in North Carolina. And there had been a hurricane, like the weekend before. And the entire beach where we were supposed to shoot, was gone. And the house that we were supposed to shoot in was a wreck. There were trucks of sand that were bringing sand back, and the house had to be reconstructed a bit so we could use part of it anyway for the shoot. But Diane and I always have a good time together. Sit, pray, adjust, attack. This is the trick. It's not me. It's somebody else. It's Julia. Julia said this. And not even in my movie. It was a different movie. I have no idea.
Sit, adjust, pray, attack.
That was a pretty great experience shooting that. We shot very quick. We didn't have any money. I mean, there were a lot of wonderful young actors in that. And Lou Gossett, of course, won an Academy Award for that. I was working hard, yeah. I was doing Marine boot camp and shooting all day. And then when shooting was over, I'd go an hour or 2 hours of karate, getting ready for the karate scenes. I was an animal at that point. You're saying words, and as soon as they enter my ears, I'm going like, what the fuck is Owen saying? It's confusing. Of course I know what this is, because I did it 6 months ago. This is the agency, ladies and gentlemen. You're saying words, and as soon as they enter my ears, I'm going like, what the fuck is Owen saying? I loved the French series. My wife and I think, watched all 4 or 5 years of that and loved it. You know, they sent me the script, and I had some questions about it, and I had a lot of talks with the writers and the producer, and they came back with some scripts that I thought were really good. It's very well written. I'm the head of the CIA in this. I've never played a character quite like that. I'm usually the outlaw, not the daddy figure. I don't like playing the same numbers too often. They get possessive. I can't be possessed. I don't like playing the same numbers too often. They get possessive. I can't be possessed. I don't know.
I don't like playing the same numbers too often. They get possessive. I can't be possessed.
The Gigolo was an interesting case because that movie was in motion when Paul Schrader called me up and asked me to do it. And he said, look, you got to make a decision right away. I said, I don't make decisions really quick. I'm sorry. I said, well, you got it on this one. So I had a day or two to think about it, and I said, okay, let's go. But it was a character I didn't instinctively know. I said, this is going to be a challenge. I don't think I even owned a suit at that point, and there was a lot of what this guy was doing was his presentation. It was about a two-dimensional construct. And the movie kind of deconstructed the two dimensions, and hopefully by the end there was a third dimension of his character started to emerge. The man's got one foot on a banana peel, the other on a roller skate. I should know this one, and I don't.
Man's got one foot on a banana peel, the other on a roller skate.
I was working in theater, and I was very happy working in theater. I consider myself a theater actor. And I had read a review in the Times about a movie called Badlands. And I saw this movie, and I flipped. I thought, this is a great film. I remember talking to my agents. I said, look, if this guy, Terrence Malick, if he ever makes another movie, I'd like to meet him. And a couple months later, there was a call. He wanted to meet me. I was one of the young actors in New York, and that was that. It was a wild experience. We were shooting in Canada, and we were dealing with the weather. I remember at one point we had scenes it was supposed to be summer fun in the sun, in the water of the river. But it was in Canada, and it had gotten cold, and the river kept freezing. So they'd come out with axes, and they'd cut the ice. And we'd go with our little bathing suits, and we're having fun in the water, and then it would freeze up around us, and cut! They would come out and break up the ice so we could shoot another take.